live. Good morning and welcome to The Breakfast Show, The Morning Brief. We're here in the nation's commercial capital, Lagos, and I'm Kayode Okikulu. But guess what? I've got the ladies with me.
Yes, indeed, Kayode. You're blessed among women. Good morning and welcome to The Morning Brief on Channels Television. I am Bukola Koka.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, the world. We are live on The Morning Brief. I'm Anne Nwawadu.
You know, there are days you just wake up and you're like, do I really want to do this again? But you know what? There's something about consistency. We don't want to take it for granted that it's every day you wake up on the right side of the bed. There are days you wake up and you're like, not again. But guess what? Let us be your motivation this morning because you need to stay consistent. You don't get gold the very first day you pick up a shovel and then you start digging or you start excavating. No, it takes consistency. So let us be that shot in the arm that you need this morning. I know it's drizzling in some parts of Lagos and you're like, can I just stay in bed? No, get up, get out, and make the most of today, guys.
You know what I always say, that we're your second alarm clock. Yeah. And, you know, Kayode is not alone on that. Sometimes you just want to turn back on the other side of the bed and go to sleep. But the human capacity for resilience is like the bamboo. You bounce back just after you thought that you've exhausted all of your strength. So be inspired this morning to get up, dress up, and show up. And we're going to help you make the best of the day with all of the information, all of the news, all of the reports that you can use. Will arm you so that you can make informed decision about how to make your day right.
Well, since we started with something like motivation this morning, I'm just going to say, I woke up this morning just thinking, it's not Motivational Monday, but I called it Thoughtful Tuesday because if we can all be thoughtful and considerate somehow, the world would be a better place with all the challenges we're facing. If you just think as individuals, as a company, organization, as government, as a group, just thoughtfulness and consideration, it would do a lot to change lots of narrative and the various challenges, of course, that we're facing as individuals and as a nation. So let it be your Thoughtful Tuesday as we begin the morning brief with you. We were talking about showers, but you know the rain ceased for some days,
Just took a break.
Just took a break. We had a breather, and then this morning again it's showers. But that just tells you that as you go out, please check the weather, plan your day so that you don't get so wet.
Yeah, absolutely. So stay with us. We have all of that information, whether it's weather, whether it's what you need about the politics, business, and all of that. But I was just thinking, guys, you know, we have lots of challenges as a nation, as a world. Lots. They're literally uncountable. But it's quite interesting that we also have the solutions. And sometimes they're just as simple as it is. Thoughtfulness, being kind. You know, just basically doing what others don't find maybe easy to do, but
and being deliberate about it and intentional.
So, I'm a bit retrospective this morning because you just realize that life can be very fickle. You see someone today and the next you don't see the person anymore. But hey, let us make the most of a time right now, shall we? What do we have for you on the show this morning? I bet you're wondering. It is Tuesday. Anne calls it Thoughtful Tuesday. So let's unwrap for you now, shall we? What does the show look like? Well, inflation continues to climb, but of course, we probably knew that already and are even feeling it with the cost of food and other items in the market. But food, of course, is the biggest culprit, pardon me to use that term. Well, the government says it has distributed trucks to states, trucks of rice, that is, and it's given import waivers for certain food items. But there's also the promise that the nation is going to emerge stronger. So, is that enough? That is the big question.
And who has the answers to these questions? Nigerians are waiting, and let's hope that Nigerians continue to wait in the most democratic manner. But one after the other, state governors are coming out with their position on the autonomy granted local governments by the Supreme Court, while Taraba Governor Agukefe says he'll implement. Oyo State Governor says he's not accepting it just yet until he's studied the implications. We'll hear from the people right in the middle of it today.
Wow. All right, so have you heard of triple threats? But our final guest today adds an extra to that. He's not just a singer, producer, and content creator. He has found a way to seamlessly infuse comedy into his art so effortlessly that he defies logic. It's just so well that he calls himself LogikThaPro, and you'll love this work, trust me.
Absolutely. I mean, you've had his video literally breaking the internet. So just hold on to this one. But hey, as always, we're tracking your reactions across social media, and your comments are up soon after the top stories, just about 10-15 minutes. So keep them coming. Hashtag CTV Morning Brief. That's how you can get to us this morning. You can just do it on WhatsApp as well. That's the fastest way to reach all of us here, not just Anne Bukola.
Why did I just knew Kayode was going to mention us again.
But it is the fastest way to reach us right now.
To reach us?
Yeah.
Okay, so, but don't call Anne and Bukola.
I said not
here.
just Anne, not just Bukola, all of us. Right, so
But
you
call
are
Anne first.
you are right there, the fourth anchor on this show. Let us know what the fuel situation is in your area. Has it abated? We understand that prices are still high. Filling stations still short. So let us know what's the situation. How about the rains? Are the drainages being cleared in your area? If you've got reports to that or otherwise, let us know. Those are the numbers, or at least the channels with which you can reach out to us.
All right, so
are you ready?
That's what we always say. Top stories are next in just a few seconds. It's a morning brief, guys. Buckle up. Well, top stories on the morning brief now. Nigeria's inflation figure, well, the latest one is out, particularly for June, and it's a new high as Nigeria's inflation hits 34.19%. That's according to the latest data from the National Bureau of Statistics. That's the NBS. That's an increase of 0.24% points when compared to the inflation figure for May. That's this year as well. But food inflation continues its upward surge, growing up to 40.87, an increase from the 40.66% recorded in May. But for context, this time last year, food inflation was 25.5%. Well, now that the figures are out, but you, of course, are feeling that already, what is the government doing? Well, to curb the rise in price of food, the federal government says it has distributed 20 trucks of rice each to the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT, Abuja. But disclosing this after the Federal Executive Council meeting, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Sir Mohammed Idris, says this is the first step as government takes other steps to address the issue of food shortage in the country. He appeals to the governors to ensure that the effective distribution of the grains to the most vulnerable in the society is ensured.
Each of the state governors has received 20 trucks of rice for onward distribution to the most vulnerable. This is a first step, and government will continue, the federal government will continue to support all the state governors, the local government, all the subnationals, so that the hardship being experienced by most Nigerians in terms of shortage of food supply is bridged. Government will continue to do whatever it takes to ensure that Nigerians have enough food to eat. Of course, you also know some of the interventions that the federal government has done in the agricultural sector, boosting our own capacity to produce food, not just for our domestic consumption, but also possibly for export. And government will continue to do that. We know that this will not solve the problem entirely, but this is a necessary first step that it has taken, and government will continue to do that. And you can see the speed with which the federal government has ensured that this is done. Now, what we want to say is the federal government also wants to appeal to the subnationals to ensure effective distribution of these food items so that those that are most vulnerable have access to this commodity.
Meanwhile, the president is set to meet with organized labor leaders in continuation of their discussion on the new minimum wage. Now, that's on another front. The minister, again, said that the issue of minimum wage was also discussed during the Federal Executive Council meeting to Minister of Information. He says the Minister of Budget and National Planning has been directed to come up with a proposal for an amendment act to the 2024 Appropriation Act to be sent to the National Assembly. Now, in spite of the rise in inflation figures, the Central Bank of Nigeria is giving fresh hope for the nation's economy, reassuring that Nigeria is emerging stronger from her economic doldrums. The Deputy Governor in charge of economic policy at the Apex Bank, Mr. Mohammed Abdullahi, stated this when he represented the CBN Governor during an emergency session of the National Assembly Joint Committee on Finance. Mr. Abdullahi explains that in spite of the ailing economy, the tough economic decisions taken over the last 12 months have started addressing the decades-long issue. The Minister of Budget and National Planning, Mr. Atiku Bagudu, was also at that meeting, and he spoke as well.
We look forward to the NNPC providing clarity on the issue of refinery refurbishment and commissioning, and help us formulate actionable strategies as legislators for economic recovery and growth. This is the only time we can all come together as Nigerians to give His Excellency the President all the needed support in order to get us out of the doldrum we have been. And you can see the indicators are showing that the economy is doing well.
A number of interventions have been approved by Mr. President. The very well-known ones were the energy transition in order to deepen CNG penetration. The negotiations with the Nigerian Labour Congress has been ongoing to ensure that there is no further disruption in the economy, and one has to thank again the leadership of the National Assembly.
We are confident at the Central Bank of Nigeria that those challenging times, we've gone through the worst of them, and we are, as a country, emerging stronger. We are quite certain, Mr. Chair, that the tough decisions that have been taken over the last 10 to 12 months are addressing some of these challenges that have been there with us for decades.
But that's not all from that meeting. Also there, you'll see the Group CEO of NNPC Limited, Mr. Melekeri, who explained that the Port Harcourt refinery will kick off production this time by early August, while that of Kaduna will commence production by December.
We're very optimistic that by December this country will be net exporter. That means combination of production coming from us and also from the Dangote refinery and other smaller producing companies that we know are in line to do this. Latest by early August, the Port Harcourt refinery old will start producing product, and of course the new one will get to December, and Wari will also be in production. You know, I'm very optimistic. I don't have any confirmation this moment, so that nobody cuts me and say, "Oh, say this." We keep lying. So we're not lying to you, Mr. President. It's a technical process. With your best of intention, you can put dates on refinery startup, but it is when you get to startup that you see the real challenges, even for a new refinery.
We have a clear plan to see how we can get, 2 million barrels and more. And I believe that we need the support of all members of the National Assembly. We need the support of all Nigerians, to be able to achieve that one.
Well, away from the economy for a moment, Senator Ainaya Baribe is of the opinion that the Tinubu administration has not been fair to the Southeast in his appointments, giving credence to the agitations in the region. His statement comes on the heels of that of Imo State Governor, who says the Southeast will not join the planned protest against the president because the region is satisfied with his leadership. Senator Baribe appeals to the federal government to take a cue from Kenya and reverse the direction of the country. We're speaking with our political correspondent, Terry Kumi.
Out of 50 ministries, the Southeast has only 5, 1 per state. Yet, the Southwest has about 10, The other ones have about 9 and so forth. And so the question has always been this ethnicization of different things. Does it augur well for the country? From President Buhari, what we have seen has been an ethnicization of the powers of the federal government. And of course, Buhari took it one step further. And what we have seen with the Tinubu government is also another step further. It's not good for the unity of the country. If you now say that whenever anybody that comes from any state, any place comes into office, the first thing he will do is to appropriate everything to his area. So what are you telling the rest of the people? I'm also using this opportunity to plead with the federal government. Plead with the federal government. We need to reverse the way we are going. We just seem to act as if there is no problem.
Well, for the full interview, do watch Political Paradigm today at 2 p.m. and 11 p.m. In other news now, we're beginning to see different reactions from governors following last week's Supreme Court ruling on local government autonomy. Now, for the governor of Taraba State, Agbo Kefas, it says he's in full support of the Supreme Court judgment for local government autonomy as it aligns perfectly with his administration's commitment to decentralize and empower locally. At an event to inaugurate the state's Local Government Areas Autonomy Advisory Committee, the governor says the local government autonomy will assist in upholding the principles of democracy and justice. But in Southwest Oyo State, Governor Seyi Makinde says his government will not allow the people of the state to suffer from the fallout of the verdict. The governor set up 2 committees saddled with the responsibilities of reviewing the Supreme Court judgment on local government autonomy and coming up with recommendations that will ensure that the change does not affect the people of the state negatively. He maintains that the judgment has created a constitutional lacuna that will throw up different challenges at the local government level, saying that though he's not opposed to transparency in the councils, the Supreme Court judgment is not a silver bullet that will wash away Nigeria's problems. And to Northwest Kano State, where High Court has issued a perpetual restraining order against the Emir of Kano, Alhaji Aminu Adebayo, and 4 other emirs from Rano, Gaya, Bichi, and Kare, preventing them from parading themselves as emirs. Justice Amina Adamu Aliyu, delivering the judgment, affirmed the legislative powers of the Kano State House of Assembly and the authority of the state governor to assent to bills passed by the Assembly. Justice Adamu Aliyu criticized the conduct of the police and other security agencies and ordered the emirs to surrender all the properties belonging to the Kano State Emirate Council to the state government. And the National and State Houses of Assembly Election Petition Tribunal for Sokoto and Zamfara State has sacked a member of the National Assembly representing Yabo Shagri Federal Constituency, Umar Yusuf Yabo, popularly called Dammaje. The tribunal, in a unanimous ruling, further ordered the sacked lawmaker to pay 500,000 naira as damages to the petitioner as a cost award. The judgment by a 3-member panel, read by the tribunal chairman, Justice Ashu Ewa, declared that the election, which was conducted by INEC in 2023 and rerun in 2024, were marred with malpractices and ordered INEC to organize and conduct another rerun election within 90 days from today. And to some business, the federal government says it has reached an agreement with the United Arab Emirates to allow Nigerian passport holders obtain visas for travel to the Arab nation starting, in fact, yesterday, July the 15th. The Minister of Information, Mohammed Idris, disclosed this when he briefed State House correspondents following a weekly Federal Executive Council meeting. The minister adds that Nigerians wishing to learn more about the updated visa conditions from the UAE can visit the country's website. And now to American politics. Donald Trump has chosen U.S. Senator representing Ohio, J.D. Vance, to be his vice presidential running mate, as the Republican Party officially nominated the former president to run again for the White House at the start of the party's national convention in Milwaukee. The 4-day convention opened in downtown Milwaukee's Fiserv Forum, 2 days after Trump narrowly survived an assassination attempt in Pennsylvania, and just hours after he secured a major legal victory when a federal judge dismissed one of his criminal prosecutions. And to sports news, the Super Falcons pre-Olympics friendly against Canada will be played behind closed door, and that's according to the Nigeria Football Federation, NFF, in an announcement on its official X handle. The international friendly will be played in Sevilla, Spain on Wednesday. The two teams played out a 0-0 draw in their meeting last time at the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup. The Super Falcons will fly to Paris for the Olympics on Thursday as Randy Wardrum's side prepare to face current world champion Spain, Brazil, and Japan in Group C. Wishing the Super Falcons the very best as always, but let's take a look at what you are saying now. We'll flip the script, sort of, and Bukola, of course, joins me as we walk through your comments on social media. Bukola.
Yes, indeed. Hello again, Kayode. Nigerians are talking about quite a lot this morning.
Oh, yes.
Some things to cheer, but those things to cheer are not necessarily meeting the needs of Nigerians at this material point, and which is, provision of jobs, making the prices of food come down, which is far more important than some of the things or measures that the federal government is taking. Speaking of which, we're starting this morning with the IG suspending enforcement of electronic CMR, which is the first talking point. And the first reaction is from Miyaki, who said, while it's a good move, but asking people to pay for a certificate that can be generated online and print by themselves is highly insensitive at this point of economic hardship in the country. This is even as the police officers will use it to extort motorists.
There you go, CMR Central Motor Registry, in case you're wondering, what is that about? Well, essentially, it's been suspended for now. The next user, Odenigbo, has this to say about this. While the idea is remarkably good one, they are doing this the wrong way. Nigeria already has a database of vehicles you can definitely work with, so multiplicity again of database. I mean, I can't count how many times.
There's the third-party insurance. There's also the motor vehicle registration that you need to obtain.
There's the FRSC where you get, well, that's for your license anyway, but there's that angle of having vehicles registered as well. So we'll see how this one pans out.
And so this next talking point is about Nigerians now being able to obtain their UAE visas. That's according to the minister. And this is in the hope that all diplomatic issues have been clarified with the UAE government. I wonder if that also means that United Arab Emirates Airlines are returning to Nigeria. But we'll get to know in the coming
2 months
days.
ago, the whole easing of, let's say, the tension or the back and forth started 2 months ago. So yeah, that's the latest right there.
Okay, so we have the first talking point from Kelvin Izu, who says, no be UAE be the issue now. That's trying to say that that's not the highest on our list of priorities, I believe. Make us solve hunger issue first. So solve the challenge of hunger. Now, who chop? They think of travel. So
there you go. Eye-polling myth is next, particularly the history. Last year, there was a major gaffe by the presidency saying all the issues had been resolved, but it turned out that no, it had not been. So this user says, how this is celebrated as huge news, I don't really get. Doesn't this mean more pressure on the Naira? People will need dollars to spend in Dubai.
Indeed. And this next one is from Teddy Ezike, who says, nothing to see here except that a third-rate country, UAE, humiliated Nigerians. It is their gain, not ours, for reinstating visa. I hope Nigerians will understand and pay them in their own coin. Well, the last part of it is, valid, but
we'll
describing UAE as a third-rate country, I really don't know about that.
You can understand the anger, which is probably stemming from the hunger. So let's talk about the hunger now, because the federal government says it has given 20 trucks of rice each to states, 36 states, and the FCT. A lot of people are doing the math and wondering, I have not seen any rice. So this is what Nigerians are saying about it. Joseph Inyali says, I don't know how it will get to the vulnerable. However, it's the right step in the right direction. And this user goes on to pray that governors will be sincere in the distribution so that it gets into the right hands to cushion this severe hunger.
And this is considering that this may just be, the second or third round of distribution of palliatives since the onset of this administration. And you recall last year how, the palliatives were more getting to people in measures of rations rather than anything significant. So you can understand the skepticism. This one is from Henry Chibuzo, who says, let the government provide jobs, not bags of rice. How many families will benefit from this? And then he goes on to talk more and more about that. But
there you go.
you have the next talking point.
And this is tied to it, inflation. Our inflation has hit 34.19. Food inflation is 40.8%. So just imagine, that's for June, by the way, not for July. So this is what this user has to say. Kenny Thema says, things have to get worse. Now, this is in quote. Things have to get worse before it gets better. It didn't get bad only in Tinubu's time. This is almost 20 years of decay that he's trying to fix. This administration will favor me and my family. So you try to decipher if it's sarcasm, this is what, but essentially this is a quote that this user is putting out there. It's left to you to decipher what he's trying to say.
Indeed. So you let us know what your deductions are. This next one is from Napupu Wits, who says, agriculture, there you have it, is the way forward. You want to be in Nigeria right now, engage in agriculture, even if it's for your mental health.
Oh, there you go. So it's quite a lot to handle this morning, but not to worry. We're going to literally hold your hands and walk you through what you need to know. We're starting off with the economy. So inflation figures are out. Federal government says we're doing this and that will come out stronger. State governors are also saying, well, this is what we need to do. But guess what? Our next guest will give us some more insight. What do we need to do as a matter of urgency, as a government and as a people? That's our first talking point on the show this morning. So don't go anywhere. It's a morning brief.
Agriculture has time frame. Now, a lot of production is ongoing currently. We're in the rainy season. And if you look at the fields, there's a lot of cropping going on. Those croppings are not food. They will only translate to food after like 3 months, depending on the period in which they take to, get, it to be harvested. So until then, definitely this story that you are talking about will continue, because are we having enough? It's not all the food that we reserve, for example. It's only the cereals, the staples, that are very easy to be reserved in our, what do they call it? And that's why, definitely as a program, as a government, the aspect of post-harvest, for example, is a major issue. And we are looking at so many programs now that will help us to intervene in the post-harvest sector, where, for example, just like you rightly said, the price of Irish potato has come down because harvest has started. Now, that of so many other commodities will continue to come down as the harvest period come on board. That will take some time. So, and that explains why, until that happens, you are taking stories, because for the Nigerian, he's talking about now, this very minute. And so we admit there is a problem. But then what are we doing to solve the problem? That is what is important.
Well, this is still the morning brief right here on Channels Television, and we began today by talking about the economy, which means our first focus will be about the inflation rate, which has actually hit a 28-year high. It means the last time this figure was ever recorded was back in 1996, as far back as then. So now it is 34.19% for the headline inflation rate for the month of June. So we'll be talking about the trend for the 19 consecutive months now that this has happened. And right now we have Dr. Paul Ikele, who's the Registrar and CEO, Institute of Business Development, joining us on the morning brief. Thank you very much for joining us on the program today. I mean, we talk about the key highlights of inflation figures, and the first thing that we will see is food inflation. When you ask anyone about the challenges in this country, everyone will say, let's eat first, at least. Before, we heard someone say, we have to eat before we travel, at least. So everyone is talking about food because that is what is affecting a lot of people. And then you begin to ask, how did we even get here in the first place?
Thank you very much. You see, inflation has been a very serious effect and impact in our economic system. In view of the price, once prices jumps up, it doesn't come down. And there are key three factors in inflation. We have the demand pull inflation, we have costs push inflation, we have induced inflation. And under the demand pull inflation, where prices, in view of maybe earnings, when your earnings becomes higher and you begin to purchase what ordinarily you had not planned, and then the demand for that item becomes higher, and then the prices will go up because the demand becomes more than the supply. Then when you look at the cost push effect, that cost push effect is because of cost of production. Where, for instance, the cost of producing, just like when we are going to look at the tariffs, why prices are increasing, when a producer can no longer afford to meet up with the requirements according to plans, okay, and for him to produce a particular unit of an item, the price would have increased, and for him to break even, of course, he has to actually adjust that price so that the market will be able to, after selling, can come back to being business. In that instance, there will be minimum number of supplies for a larger number of demands. So there will be an inflation. And then the other one, which we say maybe induced or input inflation, is exactly what the system had actually discussed about increasing salaries, where there's so much money, okay, and people salaries are being paid to workers, and there's so much excess money in the system, and the demand in the market for a smaller goods is there. So inflation has been a serious effect in our system, because you see, the government, not even the government, all the economic factors have to come to play. The activators have to look at why is it that prices are always going up and it does not come down. What is the cause? What can be done to ensure that those prices, even when it goes up, there will be what we call a supporting a mint to cushion it, so that you can afford it, and what are the values? So inflation, although I would say causes of inflation could be maybe global crisis, economic crisis, but then the effect is disastrous, and it can tilt planning. If you had planned with your salary what you're going to spend, and all of a sudden you're in the market and you can't even afford to buy the basic things you need, of course it will adjust your plan. So the system has to actually do something. The government, of course, because of course when you talk about the system, the government is the first operator, they are the lead of the system. So they have to do something. They have to actually look at the motivating factor in economic activities. How can these activities be encouraged to continue to go into production? You can do that by coming out with a lot of support system, by providing maybe reduction in tariffs, by increasing in infrastructure, by ensuring that even the minimum producers have access to cheap, will I say raw materials or available raw materials, so that their cost of production can still be at the level of their planning. If you don't do that, of course, you must produce and sell so that you can be in market. And of course, Nigerian economic system, by the market economy, where you have to produce and sell to make profit and to get back. You must have what we call, you have to break even. And if you don't break even, you'll not be in business. And as I speak to you, a lot of people are no longer in business. Even when we talk about production system, people you produce and you go to the market, after that you can't come back to do that business. And it has created a lot of problems in the system. People now produce fake products. People now, even when their products are expired, they want to get into the system. It has introduced fraud. It has introduced all kinds of vices in the system. So actually, the government has to actually begin to declare emergency on some economic sectors or products or activities, so that the focus, all hands has to be on deck to see what can be done to resolve those issues or to tame it. I'm aware the government has come up with palliatives to support all that. But you now look at the channels. That takes us to the Nigerian, will I say, the government architecture. You have the state, the federal, the state, and the local government. These palliatives, what effect will they have in economic or economic stabilization of ordinary human being, especially the bottom of the pyramid in economic level? What effect?
Because I was just going to ask, I mean, you talked about government intervention.
Yes.
The government has already said, oh, we're giving 20 trucks each to each state governor, including the FCT, to tackle this problem. And we also know about the 150-day window, which is a duty-free window, import window for food commodities. Some have said, oh, how is this encouraging food importation? And then is it not countering you saying we should encourage local production? So what do you think the impact will be in the 150-day window? And of course, there's 20 trucks of rice that the government has decided to give to states. How would it even reach the real people who need this?
Thank you very much. Well, I will say, well, for the 150 days window and the products that are going to be allowed to come in, we will say thank you to the government for coming out with that kind of gift. But unfortunately, if you look at our entire economic system, why maize? Those products listed, of what impact? Will the maize increase production of the goods that are related to maize? So why not look at core products that can be allowed? 150 days, what is the equivalent of that 150 in terms of money? That 150 days, the government is going to allow free duties and taxes. How much is the government losing? What effect will it be on the system? Now, this income that will come within that period, because you see, even in a developed climate, if there's a window for palliative, government will be able to determine, say, okay, this period we are giving this, look at how much money we are looking at that will be generated, and look at how we want to distribute it. Look at the key sectors. Look at the element. Is it the bottom of the pyramid base? Look at the states and things like that, so that the flow, just like what happened during the the last crisis, where palliatives were sent and it was taught here and there. So there must be direction, there must be channels, so that you come out with a policy during the implementation, you review activities, and you determine what impact has it made on the entire system, including me and you. Because as I speak with you, everybody is complaining. Prices are jumping up, they can no longer meet up the cost of production. And they're looking at tariffs, for example. Tariffs have become so high, and honestly, I don't know the basis for some of this increase in tariff. For example, electricity class A, B, C. Most people that are on class A cannot even afford to pay, and cannot even, when they pay, they can no longer go in production. Do you understand? So when you bring some of these goods by importation, how are you going to direct it? How will it support? So I would have suggested that before government comes up with such windows, they should have interactions, open conversations with a focused group. Do you understand? Fine for the 3 tiers of government, because you see, the local government are where we have the bottom base of the pyramid, because they reach the masses. Okay, when this group comes, how will it get to you? And then local government, of course, have their own channels of communication to the communities, to the market within the operate. the operating circle. They understand. So then the government can now, when they feel tired, they say, yes, our impact has affected this segment, it has affected this segment. Though it's not enough, then they look at the next segment and come out with another pattern that will assist.
So many things, to take away, quick takes from what you have said so far. But if I could just follow up on the 150 to 180 day import duty-free window for importation of food. In the thinking of the government, it is to bring down the prices of, food commodities. But I wonder if it has been well thought out, particularly because our naira has weakened as against the exchange rate. And for those who are importing, they're going to be importing, amid the current realities of the dollar to the naira. So would it achieve that objective of crashing food prices based on this, sticking point?
I seriously doubt it. You see, because a lot of factors will come to play. You are just saying 150 days. 150 days, how many? Divided by 6. Well, so it's not up to 6 months. They understand. So what effect? And it is selected commodities. They understand. It's not even core commodities that will have a direct effect on families. Okay? And what was the reason for selecting those items? And the question I always ask, why do we always begin to talk about exchanging, dollarizing our activities? It is absolutely wrong. Just like the last time I came here, I talked about floating of naira. It has derailed the entire economic system. Even then, naira was 1,000. But look at now, naira is gone. So that impact, it will not. But it will, of course, it's a gift from the government. It's an open window, of course. Tariffs, custom duties, taxes, of course, it's the government's sole responsibility. For them to lift that, to ease it off, is fine. But then the impact, I doubt how far it will go. Because except it's going to be a continuous provisions. Do you understand? What sector, what window have you selected? Have you dealt with the window? How did you plan from the commencement of those goods and services, the flow, what is it going to be used to the end user? Let's take it for an example, the analysis. For example,
I wonder how many commodities are on the list. I wonder if there's rice, if there is maize.
There's no rice, wheat.
There's no rice. And rice is a staple. That rice is what, is high on the expectations of everyone.
There's brown rice. I think there's brown rice. Yes, there's brown rice, yes.
What about maize? Would it have the potential of bringing down the price of the eggs if maize is on that list?
I doubt. You see, when you talk about economic activity or commodities, maize or agro-allied products, you see, there are some of these things that is better activated within an economic system. Do you understand? For example, maize. Ordinarily, Nigeria has a fertile geographical layout. Do you understand? With the South Zone area. So maize could have been grown with the support of the government, provision of access to farmlands, and then so that the cost of production will be cheaper. And then, you see, of course, when maize is grown without importing it, the maize alone has a lot of compositions. Yes. Raw materials that can come off, a lot of things.
Even for pharmaceuticals.
Yes,
also.
Pharmaceuticals. So it generated so many other multiplier effects, the addition to the entire system. So those other items you are bringing, have you looked at the content? The content, and then for what duration and what particular industry is the focus or the target? You see, where is a gift? But to me, it shouldn't have come at this time. They should have looked at ways of assisting local producers, encouraging them through a particular system so that they can grow this, some of the agro-allied agro products and be able to utilize it. And then if as I speak with you, if you travel out of Lagos towards the east or towards the north, you can see some of these products. already produced, but because they don't have access of bringing it or storage, they are wasted. They're wasted. The same as you see, we've spoiled, wasted. Some of them are roasting it, are wasted. So why now begin to import? For what purpose are you importing it? For what industry? Yes, let's test it, for example. The base comes in, which industry will use it? Of course, government should follow it up. So at the end of the day, we'll look at the end user, and then it will form a part of, because it's history, it will form a part of next events. Say, okay, last time we allowed 50 days, and so people were brought in. Look at the economic effect, how it's supported, so segment, even if it's a small segment. The next time they can now enlarge on it. But at the end of these days, we won't have reports of the effect of this period, and that has been our problem.
Let me come in here and sort of broaden this. There's a lot of conversation at the government level. They had a FEC meeting, and I want to imagine from the outcome of it, from what they said, that the economy formed a major part of the discussions, from the food to even the minimum wage and other things. Even at the National Assembly, they had an emergency session. The Minister of Planning was there, NNPCL, CBN. So it is expected that there's a lot of activity going on. But again, what we usually want to see is not just the activity, but the outcome of the activity, something tangible that the Nigerians can hold on to. But I've seen a trend, which I want you to speak to and properly assign responsibilities. So it looks like the federal government has consistently been trying to shed or shift some of the load to state governments. So that's why the minister, for example, say, well, we've given out these trucks. So look at the state governors, ask them, what are they doing? The president also earlier on said, well, I need governors to give me food production plan in 7 days. Let me know what you have. We've seen this, even with this Supreme Court judgment, again, the load has been shifted out to local government. So help us understand how we should appropriate the responsibilities. So what should we be looking at the federal government to do and asking them questions about? What should Nigerians be looking at the state governments to do and asking them questions about? What should they be looking at local governments to do now and asking them questions about, particularly when it comes to the economy?
Thank you very much. That's a very good topic, a very good statement you've made. You see, the core responsibility is planning. It said when you don't plan, you plan to fail. Of course, federal government being at the helm of affairs, and the architecture of the government system has created the federal government, the state government, and the local government. And just of recent, the Supreme Court has given an autonomy to the local government. Then it becomes the responsibility of federal government to articulate a planning system. Do you understand? Because as a father, a leader, you should have a planning system so that there should be channels of communication from the federal government, the state government, and the local government. Of course, the local government is at the foot level, and they communicate with the communities that actually are the end users. The state government can say, okay, they're like a middle level. If you put all these things in a pyramid, the federal government at the top level. Okay, the state government is at the middle level. The bottom of the base is the local government that deals with you and I. Okay, so when the federal government issues out some of these policies down to the state government at the middle level, the state government should be able, okay, in view of the plans set by the federal government, deal with the local government, who will now say, okay, which communities, what are they getting? Okay, what is the impact? Even if it's fertilizer, maize, what product, what is the product? Okay, for example, the local government should be able to do what we look at, an assessment to look at areas they have the capability. Okay, so that even if they don't have, they should do a comparative advantage on areas they don't have. So that because the environment differs. Do you understand? So that in doing that, the state government can now equitably distribute to areas that the impact will be there and it will be productive. Just that you don't just share things because others are sharing. You have the capacity to study. Yes, this local government, look at what they are good in doing. Look at what they are not good in doing. Because so when those things comes up from the federal government, the state government will now push it to those articulated, capable areas that they can achieve results. Because the bottom line is the result. It's the essence of any business is the profit, generation of wealth. So when the bottom line is that it comes from up, it fizzles off, no effect. And if you thought the next time something happens, There will be a case court, normally and things like that, and then it will fizzle off, and even the government, nobody will want to go there again. So one, the channels of distribution should be identified. Federal government, there should be a very good planning system, and there should have direct communication on all the three levels, okay, so that it will assist us, and even the press can follow up. You can travel to some of the local government to test actually has this filtered down there, although it may not be equitable enough for all the users, all the population. Do you understand? But which people has actually benefited and gained it? I don't know whether I'm communicating.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So, but before we go, a lot of challenges were faced in June, which means that we will see the ripple effect in July. Good. And it has already been said by, for example, Financial Derivatives Company already said, July figures will even be much higher than 34.19, which should, of course, make us scared right now.
Of course.
But is there something that can be remedied? Is there something that can be done before this happens?
Of course, severally. July will definitely be high. August will be high because of the trend. What are the economic activity on now that can ensure that it will improve tomorrow? If you look at the news here and there, they say fuel scarcity, and this creates fear on producers. It creates fear, and they say, well, we've been talking about security issues, and I tell you, the economic saboteurs who are using those to threaten productivity, and except you and I, all hands should be on deck. I suggest that if you have the opportunities, you should begin to see what we can do as individuals. We grow family farms. The other day it was on the news. The first lady had a farm where she grows green. I don't know whether you have. So these things can support and reduce prices if you have more the substance support as an individual. Because you see, generally, the entire system, I don't know. I would just say, let's say, question mark. Because for the politicians, most of them are no longer interested. They are not even interested on economic improvement. They're rather interested in for the next term, how they want to. I should round up.
No. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. They are rather interested in how they will come for the election. Whereas the poor masses are suffering. There are suicides almost every day. There's one I read yesterday. Somebody committed suicide in Ikorodu. Of course, and you understand. So the politicians are rather planning. They've spent 2 years and are planning, how am I going to come back? I want to be a godfather. It is wrong. You see, the government is for the people. And if the people are happy, if government can roll. Do you understand? And you see, even for the opposition parties, this is the time that all hands should be on deck. Let's support the government. Because the government, if they succeed, it will give us opportunities for development. It's better to improve on a good system than to improve on a bad system. Because for you to improve on a bad system, you have to review, analyze, and you spend more money to analyze it and you remove before you start all over again. But if a system is stabilized and is improved, of course, you would have known where to start, and of course, everybody will benefit. Sure.
So, for me, I'm just wondering how much of this caught us napping, and let me put the question in proper context. Okay. Because from about last year, July, the president had declared a state of emergency in the agriculture sector, and months after that, amid the rising cost of food prices, there was the assurance that we're expecting harvest from massive planting of wheat in Jigawa State. And even though we're in the rainy season now, if that had started from last year, we should be recording some progress in that regard, even if it will not be sufficient to feed the entire nation, but it should go some way. And in addition to that as well, the Minister of State for Agriculture was saying yesterday that there's a lot of activities ongoing in terms of food planting, but this is where we are. The price of tomatoes is skyrocketing. So if they had done sufficient work in terms of investment in agriculture from about last year and backed up with the right policies to bring down the cost of food, would we be talking about an importation window and the continuous increase in inflation this year?
We wouldn't. You see, I tell you, the North is an economic value to this country because of the kind of land space. It's savanna grass areas. There are cash crops that can be grown there. But of course, the fear, security. Yeah. Initially, there was this irrigation plan so that waters can be supplied inside. And then, of course, tomatoes, onions, yam, so many cash crops can even, it's enough to feed the country. And when we talk, at times we compare ourselves with developed countries. In US, farmers will produce to the maximum, to the level quota given by government, and they have to destroy the excesses. But look at us, we have the resources. Okay, why can't to support this production in those green areas? Do you understand? Of course, I tell you, if this there's a support to a system that can enhance the production of those products or those agro-allied products in those areas, it will so much solve a lot of problems, and it will support our economic, and it will generate an internally generated income, because one, it will create employment, two, it will produce people who eat food, three, you see, there will be peace. I don't understand. Families can plan, but when you are not sure when the next meal is coming, of course, you can't plan. So I think the Ministry of Agri should do more on that. The government should see what they can do on that, because if we become productive, at times, what makes an economy stable is when you have a productive economy, either in agro-allied, mineral resources, or even in service provisions. Okay, so all hands should be on. The government should do more on that. I support it, because there's mass land. It's mass land. You can even do mechanized agro system. Do you understand? Sure. Even the new Ministry of Livestock, of course, there's a mechanized system of feeding livestock. Do you understand? And they will mass produce. If you go to the UK, for example, go to Oxford, they have farmers that has a product. Those agro producers. A cow is heavy because they are sustained, they are maintained. So why can't we replicate it in Nigeria and have the land?
Dr. Keller, just quickly, I mean, the MPC, the Central Bank's Monetary Policy Committee, will hold its bi-monthly meeting next week. What are you expecting? Retain the status quo or change it? Do something different? Which one?
Review and review and look at areas you can amend, look at areas you can sustain, but we should move forward and we should see what we can do to reduce pricing, or at least to cushion the effect. Two, they need to look at the bottom base. Okay. Certain tariffs, in fact, subsidies, should look at some tariffs, electricity tariffs. Who and who uses it? What is the basis? You should look at the nucleus. You know, when you're planning, they can say, okay, 4 of us here, we can afford 200, no problem. But the others who are micro producers, they can't even afford to pay 15 to get electricity. Sure. Is it a street? You know, and these people need to live. They are actually why you are in government. Do you understand? Yes. Because poverty, even in the Bible, it's all can continue. But you have to sustain them. You have to provide for them.
All right. So, thank you very much, Dr. Paul Ekele, Registrar, CEO, Institute of Business Development. Thanks a lot for your time and your contribution on the morning brief. All right. It's still the morning brief right now. We've been advised if you can plant any crop in your building, in your premises, if you have a garden, please just invest in that and make a difference also. But we'll take a very short break right now. We'll be back with more on the morning brief. Please stay with us.
welcome the ruling of the Supreme Court. Compliance is a given. And our attorney generals have applied for the enrollment order, which we'll study carefully. But by and large, governors are happy with the devolution of power in respect to local government autonomy. It relieves a burden on governors. People really don't know how much states expend in bailing out local governments. It's not going to affect the states. We've never tampered with local government funds, so it's going to continue. What the local governments have to do is to manage themselves, especially with the upcoming minimum wage, to manage their affairs and make sure salaries are paid. Traditional rulers get the 5%, and those are the main issues. The forum will meet next Wednesday to look at the issue wholly and then come up with a resolution of that. As you're aware, the tripartite committee has met and submitted its report.
Yes.
The movement of figure is a prerogative of the president, which he will also transmit to the National Assembly for robust debate before it's adopted.
Welcome back. So we turn our attention to that very thorny subject following the Supreme Court verdict granting financial autonomy to local governments, specifically directing that henceforth allocation be paid directly to local governments. And so we've seen the Governors Forum welcoming that Supreme Court verdict. But one by one, it's emerging the exact position of state governors. For instance, we've had Taraba governor saying that we will abide by Supreme Court judgment. But in Oyo State, the situation is not exactly the same, as that verdict is still being considered. We wonder what the other state governments, how they would react to it and implement that Supreme Court judgment. But let's have that conversation, particularly with those affected, and feel their pulse about the implementation. So joining us for this conversation on the program is Comrade Olatunji Ambali, who is the President General Nigeria Union of Local Government Employees, NOGE. Comrade Ambali, good morning and welcome to the program. Very quickly, we also have Mr. Aminu Meifata, who is the National President, Association of Local Governments of Nigeria, ALGON. Good morning, Mr. Meifata, and thank you for joining us on the program.
Good morning to our wonderful listener.
So I'm going to start with you, Comrade Ambali, specifically with what many consider to be the alteration, if you like, or ideal interpretation of the 1999 Constitution, specifically Section 7 and 8, which recognizes the local government as a third tier of government and also makes a provision for JAC. So some are saying that how will this exactly be implemented, considering that there are very many states of the Federation that do not have democratically elected local government chairmen, and some where, local government elections are subject to a matter of litigation. So I wonder if that is a concern to NOGE, and what your expectations are about how the Supreme Court verdict will be implemented.
Well, thank you, moderator. The local government autonomy judgment is a welcome development. It put pay to all the legalities surrounding mismanagement of local government and abuse of power by state political actors across the country. Some of them have acted in breach of Section 7, subsection 1, and Section 162, subsection 5 of the Constitution for the 4th schedule. You realize that to state governor, they didn't feel local government should exist. That's why they continuously emasculate local government. I've also listened to comments surrounding how to go about the implementation. Let me put this squarely. No governor has power to review the judgment of Supreme Court. Supreme Court is a court of finality. And what they have done, the judgment is a law. So for somebody like Oyo State Governor, who now became jittery, who now became apprehensive and openly angered about autonomy of local government speaks volume about his sincerity on how he handled local government funds. We also acknowledge and welcome the development in Taraba State. The governor who came out even before the judgment saying that he will abide by the Supreme Court judgment. You see, these people continuously say that they are not tampering with local government funds. They are assisting local government. And we have continuously said that why must they die like Jesus Christ? Let local government carry across. If you are sincere, you are not tampering with local government funds. Why are you openly and fiscally angry like the outburst of governor for your state? Our belief is that the implementation is clear. The judgment is fund local government directly from FAC. Local government has the executive, they have the legislative, they have their budget, they know we have competent bureaucrats and political leaders and local government who represent the mandate of their people. They campaign with their manifesto. The people voted for them in many states. But however, let us also point out that the existence of caretaker committee and local government has been outlawed. The legality has been condemned by Supreme Court. Whoever is doing that in his state is doing that at his own peril. The law is clear. A democratically system of local government is thereby guaranteed under Section 1. You ask yourself, to a governor who swore on oath to defend the constitution, why must they act in breach of that constitution?
Pardon me, let me come in there, Comrade Ambali. Let me come in there and perhaps try to make myself clear, for context. The Supreme Court has said that pay directly to local governments, but checks reveal that about 408 local governments, representing about 53% of the 774 local government areas in the country, do not have democratically elected local governments. So what happens, for instance, to the July allocation, if that has not been paid, or maybe from August when implementation will commence? That means that 408 local government areas may not be getting allocations in line with that judgment. So for this context, how will it be implemented?
If sincerely we are obedient to rule of law and justice, the court, the highest court in the land, has prescribed the existence of caretaker committee. What I expect the governors and Democrats to have done is to dissolve them. We have top technocrats and local government who can hold forth pending the conduct of local government election. After all, when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu assumed office, before the appointment of ministers, we have permanent secretaries and technocrats who hold forth. That is the way to go. Once the court says they are illegal, they remain illegal. Their existence has been stopped. And for us, we believe that instead of holding meetings, looking for making clandestine moves to pressurize Mr. President to give them period of transition, trying to say so many things, setting for a legal review committee against a judgment of Supreme Court, they should have come out boldly as Democrats to dissolve all this illegal body called caretaker. That is the way to go.
Let me go to Mr. Aminu Maifata on this one. When you look at activities of local government officials through the years, I mean, we talk about what they have been able to do with these funds they get. Do you think that some of the reservations these governors have is about, oh, if we give you this funds, you actually do what you're supposed to do with these funds? So, and how would them getting these funds from the federal government directly actually speed up development at the grassroots where the people who actually need the help actually live in? Mr. Maifata, please unmute. We can't hear you. All right, Mr. Comrade Olatunji Ambali, maybe you should answer that question while we wait for Mr. Minu Mefata to get his device unmuted. Please talk to us about the activities of local government officials who have been giving these funds in the past.
You ask a fundamental question, but the answer is simple. Is the federal government not having reservation about the way governors manage resources at the state? Is that a justification to divert, misapplied, and forceful state government allocation? That is not correct. If somebody is expressing fear, I also know that at local government level, most of the political office holders are university graduates. They are well-to-do individuals. They are experienced. We have bureaucrats in local government who have up to PhD, who are well-trained, who have put in minimum of 20, 30 years in service, who were there when local government was enjoying autonomy in the 80s to 90s, before the commencement of this 1999 constitution. So they should allow the system to work. Once local government is well-funded, there must be financial accountability and transparency. That is why in our quest to achieve this autonomy, we lay some things bare to the public. We have freedom of information bill. We need to scale up the skill of councillors and local government to carry out their oversight function competently. The NFIU and NOGE will partner together to make sure we track fund made for local government, and Nigerians must be conscientized to demand for good governance and quality political leadership at local government level. And don't forget, we are in the era of social media, whereby our youth can also look at what is happening in their vicinity, in their local government, and hold their leaders accountable. And we have a very vibrant media in Nigeria that can really put them to checks. So with all this internal mechanism, local government political leaders and bureaucrats will be able to deliver dividends of democracy, arrest harrowing poverty in the land, stem the tide of insecurity, and bring the infrastructural gap at the local government level, so that we will have food security, we have community security, and the GDP at the rural level will be grown, that will translate into national GDP.
All right. I don't know if we have other guests back, but it's quite interesting that you've talked about what should be the ideal, what the Constitution provides, how this has been breached, people that enjoy this. But let's break this down further and maybe connect people to this even more, because there's a tendency to just speak over the heads of people. They hear local government autonomy. Yes, there's celebration, but they want that. So what would this mean? So I want you to maybe give us a before scenario, and then what we expect to happen now, particularly what local governments will now be providing for the people. So what happened before now? What were the things you were meant to be doing that you were handicapped in doing? The law is quite clear. I know it varies from state to state, but at least the Constitution speaks to some of the things that the local government should be doing practically. So speak to us about the before, what was happening before, and what we should expect now. Is it in fixing roads, street lights, drainages, refuse collection, markets, and the rest? I want you to walk people through that.
Yes, let me start from what happened before what is happening now before. What happened before, when local government enjoys semi-autonomy, that is around 89 to 92, when we have the Babangida regime, when local government were directly funded, local government was able to deliver dividend of democracy in the area of functional primary education. That was the era when local government was building schools across the nook and crannies of the country at the rural areas. That was the era when local government was able to provide functional health care services, what we call primary health care. The primary health care centers were built during that era. And again, local government, we have an agency called Directorate of Food, Road and Rural Infrastructure that was constructing and opening rural roads. Local government were tarring roads. They were providing transformer to communities. They were energizing communities, linking them to the grid. And As at that time, local government was able to carry out vocational skill acquisition, whereby women and youth were trained at local government level and they were empowered. Students were given scholarship, they were given bursary by local government. And local government was able to be proactive when it talk about community security management. Every Monday, most local government organize security meetings whereby the locals, the non-natives, and the security agencies come together, review security situation in their various communities, and they carry out intelligence gathering, and they even support the conventional security agents to do the needful. And that is why we are able to stem in security across the nook and crannies of Nigeria then. So now, when we move from that era to the present era, local government was full of funds. The state government hijacked the political autonomy of local government. They also hijacked administrative autonomy of local government and financial autonomy of local government. By administrative autonomy of local government, the tenure of political leadership and local government became unstable. There were threats to their existence. Hello?
Yes, please go ahead. Go ahead. I understand.
There are physical threats to the survival of local government democracy, whereby governors can wake up one day and dissolve democratically elected political leadership. And they didn't allow transparent conduct of local government election, whereby they appoint their cronies to the detriment of the masses. Again, about funding. All the fund men for local government that are allocated according to FAC were diverted, misapplied, and misappropriated using the conduit pipe called JAC, leveraging on the lacuna in 1999 Constitution. When about 100 million is allocated to specific local government, instead of that JAC to be a distributive account, it now became a transactional account. When allocations are specified that maybe Kaura local government is entitled to 120 million. What JAC is expected to do is to forward that money to that local government. They don't have the power to redistribute what has been distributed according to federal account allocation, which has been determined by constitution using land mass, population, and other items. But that is what they were doing. They were fiddling with the money. They were also hijacking the resources. That is why local government became so poor and was unable to deliver dividends of democracy. That is when local government was unable to grade roads, local was unable to tar roads, was unable to energize the community with electricity, was unable to provide vocational skill acquisition and empowerment. Local government was unable to maintain primary schools and primary health center. That is why people become frustrated and there are insecurity in the land. So for us, we believe that the golden era is here. Once local government is directly funded and with the crop of political leadership there, who believe that they have to deliver dividend of democracy and they are accountable to their people, local government will now move. There will be a paradigm shift from this kind of local government that is impotent, unable to deliver, and I ask tenure insecurity to an era whereby the chairman knows that and the councillor knows that no governor will wake up on the wrong side of the bed tomorrow and sack them outright. That has been decided by Supreme Court. So there is tenure security now in local government, and there is fund that will be available for political leaders to implement policies and programs for the betterment of his community. So for us, what we only need to do is that we'll move on this transition period because some of the equipment and tools are no longer in existence in local government.
All right, let's balance the conversation now as we go to Mr. Meifata. I believe we have him now. And, you know, I believe that you also have reactions to some of the things that Comrade Ambali has said in terms of the functions of local government when they begin to function following this court judgment. But very quickly, what's going to happen to JAC now? As that, by the verdict of the Supreme Court being abolished, will there be creation of new accounts for local government? Comrade Meifata.
Yeah, that has been abolished.
Yeah. Let's go to Mr. Meifata now. Pardon me. Let's go to Mr. Meifata. Let's go to Mr. Meifata.
What we need to do.
Comrade Ambali, if you can hear us, this is for Mr. Meifata. Let's allow him come in with his thoughts. Over to you now, Mr. Meifata.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, by the pronouncement of Supreme Court, Jack is gone. And the good thing of this is that even at the Jack, local government councils chairmen normally are the only members that take decision. So without Jack, it will not be a new thing to council's chairmen. Rather, we go back and continue to do the right thing as clearly spelled out in the Constitution and the rules and policies guiding administration of local government councils in Nigeria. We have the FNGPC. We have the legislative arm in the local government councils where a chairman is required to send his budget for passage. We have the FNGPC, which is equivalent to executive council at the state level or at the federal level. Sit down based on the appropriated or approved budget and appropriate funds for various assigned projects. So this abolition, it will not be very difficult for local government councils chairmen to pick up from there. And we all know the Apex Court has spoken. There is no any cosmetic dressing we will do to revert that back. It has become law in the country. The only thing is for us, the local government council chairmen, to pick up from there and adjust our seatbelts to focus well on the administration of local government councils and to move forward so that the expected dividend of democracy from these pronouncements of the Apex Court will cascade down to the people at the grassroots. So this will not be, it is not going to be a challenge at all. And we are going to abide by that. Thank God, our principals have spoken, that is the governors, that they have accepted this ruling and they will abide by it. So also the local government council's chairman. And I want to give this assurance to the workers and to the people at the grassroots. All the fears being expressed, whether the local government council chairman can be able to fund the payment of salaries, whether the local government council chairman can be able to attend to other obligations as clearly spelled out in the Constitution, I will tell them, yes, they will do so. As I always cited examples, where those states that allow local government councils to be democratically elected and allow them free hand on administration and financial autonomy, you can see they are faring far better than those states that don't allow local government councils to perform as clearly stated in the Constitution. I always cited a lot of them, like the Lagos, like the Nasarawa, like the Kaduna, and other few. When you go there, you see the way they are administering local government councils. You will be so, you will envy them because they take decision. The only thing they go to their governors is when they are experiencing one shortfall or the other in terms of maybe it came around when we had this COVID-19 episode, when so many states were in far financial shortfall, which was normal. The states too went to the federal government. It came to their rescue. So this one issue of rescuing the local government councils when they are experiencing shortfall in finances is normal. It doesn't apply only to local government councils, but also to the states.
All right,
so this issue of fear should not be there.
All right, Mr. Mefata. Yes, the Nolga president had already said that 50% of Nigeria's problems will be solved if the governors adhere to this new judgment. But when we talk about financial integrity of local government officials, They have said that transaction will be tracked and they will work with agencies. But how can we hold them accountable so that the funds that are given to them actually utilized at the grassroots level to ensure development in the regions that are meant to be developed?
Thank you very much. The rules are there, clearly spelled out. As a local government council chairman, you have your boundaries. You have the template on how to operate. If you divert from the template, the punishment is there. So if one knows this, and thank God, majority, over 80%, or I can say 90% of the present local government chairmen are well educated. They are well read. And we don't need too much interpretation to them. But despite that, like we are going to hold our next meeting on the 18th or 19th in Nasarawa State in Lafia. So this is going to be part of what we are going to take the 36 states Algon chairmen, including Abuja, to take back to their respective local government council chairmen on the issue of integrity and on the issue of expectations from our principals, from the federal government, most especially the president of the country that has so much passion for local government council administration, and to the people at the grassroots that we are going to live up to the expectation by ensuring prudent management of resources that will come to us, by ensuring that we explore more and more internally generated revenue avenues so that we can be able to attend to various expectations or various obligations on local government councils. And we are going to make sure that those untapped avenues that will enable us perform optimally and prudently are being explored now so that we can do maximally for people at the grassroots to enjoy dividend of democracy. It is not for us to be saying it is a moment of happiness, moment of enjoyment.
Right.
No, we have challenges, we know.
Exactly, Mr. Mifata, and that's the next point. You know, it's been painted as though the local governments are the saints here, and the governors are the evil ones who have been, well, essentially holding local governments back. But when you look deeper, some will say local governments are contributing a huge part to what we are seeing right now, or at least what we're seeing before now. And that brings up the question of efficiency. Because a local government is made up of workers, you could call them civil servants. So do they resume to work on time? How well do they do their work? Do they have integrity, as was raised earlier on? Because these are the things that add up to the functions of the local governments that we then see, or in this case, do not see. So I want you to speak to that point. We've also heard cases where, you know, local government heads just essentially hand over powers to the governors. In fact, one of the former senators said maybe what we'll see now is local government chairmen messaging the governors and say, well, we've gotten the money for this month. What do we do about it? So these are challenges that are still there. So it's not Uhuru just yet. So I wonder if that's something you consider a threat, something you are aware of first, and something you are actively considering solutions to.
When you are giving the meat and the knife to court, it will be left to you, that is we as local government council chairmen, to look into the working system of the entire local government council. These workers, why are they so truant in coming to the office? We first check ourselves. Are we providing them with the necessary tools to enable them to work and perform as expected? And are we supervising them to see that the delegated functions are being carried out as required? So now it is a duty on each and every one of us to see that each local government council chairman or each local government council worker comes to the office, attends to his official functions, because we can no longer continue to pay people that don't come to office. They only come to office at the end of the month. Maybe when they don't hear their alert, then they will rush to the office and say there is a problem. Why? They run to the finance department to find out, I have not had the alert, I have not seen my alert. Without even coming to the office for several months. So we are going to sit up. If you want to get paid, you must put your necessary input so that you get paid. So by the special grace of God, since we know that we are left on our own, no any governor now, if a local government council is facing a challenge, most especially financial challenges, will come to its rescue. They will send you away and say, you are on your own. You have the autonomy, so why do you come? So if we know this at the back of our mind, then definitely we must sit up and know where one kobo is going, whether that one kobo is worth going there or not. If it is not worth going there, then we put it and direct it to the right channel that will yield positive dividends to the people at the grassroots. And we know we have a lot of responsibilities, most especially as it concerns security, primary health care, primary schools, rural roads, provision of boreholes, and other basic amenities which the Constitution has clearly given to the local government councils to perform. When we know we have these enormous responsibilities, what do? We need to sit up and be prudent, be honest,
all right,
and attract trust from the people at the grassroots.
Indeed, Mr. Meifata, an important question to ask about accountability when indeed, this autonomy becomes a reality. Some would say that, look at area councils in the FCT, for instance. There are no governors breathing down their necks, but there is more to be desired in terms of development in those area councils. But we'd like to thank you very much, Comrade Olatunji Ambali, the President General, Nigeria Union of Local Government Employees, NOLGE, who joined us via Zoom. Thank you so much for your time on the program. I want to also thank you very much, Mr. Aminu Meifata, the National President, Association of Local Governments of Nigeria, ALGON. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time.
Thank you very much.
And so we're all from one local government or the other in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and a lot of us are doing great things from those local governments. One gentleman is one of them, and from what he has, he's transforming his own fortune. So we're going to be looking at the softer side of things after this time out. Join us again. We'll be right back.
LogikThaPro. Victor Ilya is our guest on the show this morning and is going to, take us through his brighter side of life. Good morning, LogikThaPro. Welcome to the Morning Brief.
Thank you very much for having me here.
Well, Victor is a content creator, producer, vocalist. I don't know if you want me to add comedian, because as much as we enjoy the music, your content always make me laugh. I just find myself laughing, and I'm happy about life, particularly because, you're dressed in a certain way and you're still enjoying life in that manner. So you just wonder, why am I stressed about life, right? But Victor, speak to us first about where you are at right now. You started just a few years ago doing your thing, and now you're getting so much love for Nigeria. Speak to us, how does that feel to begin with?
It actually feels good. It is more like years of hard work is finally paying off, you get. So some of all those things that we have been doing before, some of all those things I have been doing, it's now beginning to pay off, and it is very relaxing to know every single day I pick up my phone and I see very, very heartwarming notifications to get, and it is just something of beauty for me. I really appreciate God for that. It's something I love to get. So I'm actually enjoying where I'm at, and the pace is steady, steady gaining.
Right.
So a beautiful thing.
And it's beautiful to see, I must say. So here's a backstory. It's a lot of people who are wondering, LogikThaPro, I've seen his video. Who is he? Where does he stay? So you are based in Kaduna, right? And for a lot of people, what they hear about Kaduna is, for example, insecurity, kidnappings, and the rest. But there's so much more to Kaduna State, lots of talent. We can talk about agriculture, but particularly the talent. So I want you to market Kaduna State, at least the good side of Kaduna State this morning, and tell us about your story. How did you come about this? How have you been able to stay consistent? Where do you get your inspiration from? Where did you get that shoe from? Where did you get the jacket from? I have a lot of questions for you, Logic. So just tell us about yourself, the things that people don't know about you.
So basically, my name is Victor Elia. I'm LogikThaPro, and I'm from Kaduna State. And definitely from what you have said, we have heard a lot of things about Kaduna State, which I would not want to say are not true. But then I feel like generally around the world, around Nigeria as a whole, I feel like some of the news we hear about Kaduna State is actually very exaggerated, because the way people make it look as if we are in constant battle. Do you get? And it's not like that. It's not like that. Kaduna State is actually a very sweet place. It is like a farm for talents, because there are many talented souls here in Kaduna State. And then I just happen to be privileged to be one of them. I started doing this thing for like some years now. I've been a producer. Basically, that's how I began. I started as a producer, and somewhere along the line, I discovered that I could sing. And I cannot lie, some of all these things, because I'm a very playful person. I love to play. I love to joke around. And then most of my inspirations come from that part of me that would always love to like make other people happy, make other people smile, and that is just basic LogikThaPro. I'm not very different from the person you see on your screens.
So LogikThaPro, something caught my attention when you talked about how long you've been hustling. Let's use that word, and eventually it's paying off. So let's see a 3-in-1 question for you right now. When did this all start, first of all? And then if you started making money, are you sending some tithes to us? Because you obviously talked about it paying off right now, which I'll say congratulations, by the way. And that shoe and the stockings, it gave me the vibe of Michael Jackson, especially when you do the moonwalk. Is Michael Jackson an inspiration to you in some way? Has he in any way influenced your journey in this whole business?
So I really love Michael. I really love his music. I love everything about him. So, but the Michael Jackson character I play in some of my stuff, I would love to say is accidental, because I think it was one of the videos we just had that concept, and I decided to just throw in one move. And because I love reading the comments of people that watch my stuff, so I went through the comments and I just heard everybody saying something. See Michael Jackson in Sapa style. Somebody was saying Sapa Jackson. You get?
You need to tell them it's no longer Sapa time. That is now paying time.
So when I discovered that this character, I think this is something I should build up on, since people are already loving this phase of the whole stuff. And then I decided in the next video, I incorporated some of all those moves. And then I decided to come up with the moonwalk now this time around. But from this Lexus video, you see that the moonwalk was really very, it's not really something to write home about. But I was rehearsing behind the cameras. I was rehearsing for the moonwalk dance. And then as time went on, you notice how there's an improvement in this stuff. We are building this Sapa Jackson character, and And that's just it. It's how it has been. I've actually been onto this space. I've been doing production for some years, say 7 years to 8 years, somewhere thereabouts. I've been doing that, but it has always been on a low-key level. I've just been doing all those things from my room. In my room, I just have my PC and my headphones, and I just make stuff like that. And as time went on, everything began to build up. I they say practice makes better. So as I kept on doing all those things, I just discovered that I was getting better. I was getting good at it. And then one of the first videos I made, I think the first video that brought everything to life was one video. Nobody even speaks of the video anymore because that was long ago. When I made that video, it was just, I was in the studio, I was making a beat, and then I lost inspiration. So I thought of something else, and then I made it up. It was very, very funny. When I finished cooking that, I was laughing at myself. And then I was at home, and I decided to shoot a video for it. Then I picked up my father's suit. By the way, that suit is my father's suit. that suit of grace.
I like
so
the way
I picked it up.
Yeah. So I like the way you avoided the money parts, but it's okay. It's fine. It's fine. Because I asked you 3 questions.
Don't worry, I'm getting there.
Okay, I guess it's there.
Don't worry, Anne. Don't worry, Anne. I'm not going to let Victor go. I'm going to pursue that line of thought as well. And, perhaps it's good to take them as some form of inspiration for younger people who are watching you. And I'm like, oh, I love what Victor is doing. I could do what he's doing. So along the line, what could be the fees that have been coming in that you charge perhaps to endorse a particular product? But just hold on that thought. There's more to follow up on as well. Let's enjoy some of your content that you're putting on and that Nigerians are beginning to fall in love with, and then we'll be right back. Is your steez going to be different? Are you going to recreate yourself? Are you going to be inspired differently in the identity that you choose people to know you by?
Well, that is actually a very beautiful question. So, the Sapa Jackson character is one that is definitely inspired. I love it when people watch my stuff and they can connect to it, because a lot of people, as we all know, the economy of the country as at the moment is not really very, very good. It's actually very shaky. So a lot of people can actually connect to this character, and then I feel like it's something that I'm going to definitely this stage. Now this stage is going to be upgraded on the other side of me. But when it comes to Sapa Jackson is definitely going to remain the way he is. Worst case scenario, Sapa Jackson is going to look more Saparish. You get it?
So I take it when the steez improves and levels change, as we say in Nigerian parlance, we'll no longer see Sapa Jackson asking for the urgent 2K in the video. Will you now be the one distributing 2K?
He said he'll still be Sapa. Yes. You won't go to Apa, not Sapa again. Anyway, but...
Oh my God.
But I'd like to ask also, Ming, seeing you do all this work, you are also encouraging young talents. What would you say to that young talent watching you right now who still is confused about what to do with maybe the little talent he has already discovered? What would you encourage that person to do first? Maybe the first step to take.
The first step to take, I would love to say, is number one, love what you do. Believe in what you do, and make sure you don't, because a lot of people are going to talk you down. When I started, I had a lot of people that were telling me. There was one time I was at an event and I was going to perform. You know that kind of event that you slot yourself in with one or two few abeg somewhere. So that was the case for me at that time. I was at the event, and then somebody met me and said, Oji, so you don't come here again to come disgrace us for you?
Oh dear.
And it went on like that. But I actually didn't care about what the guy said. And just a few moments after that, it began to pay off. And then it stopped being disgrace and it started being, it was looking more like disgrace. Oh my God. So, first of all, believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Don't allow anybody to tell you what you're doing is not good enough. Make sure you know that what you are doing is good enough and try to improve every single day. Then secondly, don't give room for excuses. I think this is the major reason why some people are actually not really moving in the whole entertainment or anything else you want to do in life, because you want to start something and then you are looking for somebody who will tell you, I'm financially not buoyant. I'm not having gadgets enough. And when we started making videos, I actually forgot to mention, I was borrowing an iPhone X from one of my friends. I had one as at that time. I would borrow the phone to go and shoot. Sometimes we borrow. No, we used to use one of my very old phones as at that time. It was an Infinix phone, but 8. We would borrow that phone to shoot videos. We actually didn't care about the quality. Everybody come and be saying, improve your quality. You don't know that we do not have the capability to improve the quality, but at least I tried my possible best. I didn't actually stop. Whenever I got a concept, I would make it up and then I would find a way to shoot it. I didn't say, no, I don't have this now, so I don't have a good camera, I don't have a good this, I don't have a good that, so I cannot start now. I just figured out a way to just bring in some of all these things. I believe these particular 2 steps, if anybody should take these steps in anything they do in life generally, it's going to be very, very prosperous, because number 1, you love what you do, right, and you believe in yourself. Number 2, you are not even taking any chances. Every opportunity you get, you do something. It is definitely a sure road for success.
Absolutely. You also love beans. Just to put that out there, that it's not just content and production you love beans as well, as you put it on your social media. But speak to us about how your family members are reacting to this or receiving this, because we're spotlighting your story, as we said earlier on, to share that hope, the fact that you can start from where you are. I mean, you had to borrow devices to shoot videos. Now you have over 100,000 followers on Instagram alone. You clock in hundreds of thousands of views, likes, and comments. So that's the power of starting small, staying consistent with it, and the rest. But I'm curious, how is your family? How are they receiving this on the one hand? Is there something else you would do aside this? Yes, there's content, but some other people say I have a plan B, maybe to work, do what I studied in school as a plan B. So 2-edged question, how your family are carrying you along on this, and then do you have a plan B?
Yes, thank you very much. So I would love to start by appreciating my family in general. They have been very supportive, starting from my parents, my mom, my dad. They have been very, very supportive. When we started, we go to shoot in different locations. My sister was very, very instrumental. She has been in my videos, and every once in a while, she used to cameo in some of the videos. And you just see so much love and support. My parents would often give me the house car, and they say, go and shoot here, go and shoot there, go and do this, go and do. And it was just the support was massive. I feel like, to every other person out there, if you want to do something, if you want to at least help your child to have something lucrative, something to bounce back on, I feel like it is very, very good to support your children, support your words, support them in the best way you can. Sometimes you might not even have any money to give, you might not have anything to give, but you can at least say, I know, I love what you did. Imagine your father telling you, I love your content, I love your videos, I love all those things. It can be really very heartwarming, and can be very, very huge encouragement for you to keep on pushing and keep on adding up the fire. Because if you don't have, a lot of people that really don't have support, they had it the wrong way, and they had it the tough way, sorry. But then definitely I know that when it begins to pay off, everybody, definitely when I started, the support was there, it was massive, but it was still very shaky, I cannot lie. It was still shaky. But when everything started to the support to get, the support was now better than before. And again, I'm concluding my studies on industrial chemistry. That's what I'm studying. So it is something I would love to explore somewhere in the future, but that should be like a plan B, plan C, something like that. This me is the me I love most, and I want to put in everything I can to see that I grow most here. But then that particular aspect of me is something that has been in consideration for quite a while, and I'm very sure that is something that I'm going to definitely look into to get. You know, it is very, very important to not put your eggs in one basket. So just start up a little more things and everything. But definitely I would like to pursue a career in industrial chemistry somewhere in the future, if God allows us.
There you go, Victor. We could go on and on. So maybe what we'll do is, when next you're in Lagos, let us know. We need to do some moonwalk with you, particularly Bukola. She wants to learn your Sakwa Jackson moonwalk.
I'm down. Yeah. I will moonwalk with you. If she doesn't know how to, I will teach her. That's what I do.
I'm a fast learner, Victor. I'm looking forward to it.
So, all you need to do is to get the shoes.
And I'll get the socks for her too.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've been speaking with LogikThaPro, Victor Elia, live from Kaduna State. I mean, he's a young Nigerian doing great stuff from what people have described as his little corner. Victor, we wish you the very best, and hey, here's to seeing you on even greater stages in the coming days. Thank you once again for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here also. It is quite a big one for me, and I say thank you, Channels TV. Thank you, every one of you. I appreciate you big time. Thank you.
Thank you again. And that has been the show for today, everyone. We hope we've been able to give you a dose of inspiration, motivation to go out there and do great stuff. I'm Kayode Okikele.
And speaking of inspiration, a good family support system can help give one's dream visibility like Victor's. So help your loved one today. Thank you so much for watching. We'll return again tomorrow with another bumper package. I am Bukola Koka.
Well, remember how we started. Thoughtfulness, consideration. Please, in your daily activities, ensure you think about that. That's the show. Thank you so very much. We'll see you again tomorrow. Make sure you maintain your steez. I am Anne Nwawadu.
Sunrise Daily is next. Goodbye.